Welcome to the broadcast and live stream of Moonshot Radio. Moonshot Radio is generously sponsored by the PNC Grow Up Great program. And here's your host, Dr. Nivea Torres.
Greetings and welcome to Moonshot Radio, where every moment is an opportunity to learn. I'm your host, Nivea Torres, Executive Director of the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative, also known as KRC. Our vision is that all children in Indian River County will be ready for kindergarten. We proudly partner with the Moonshot Moment, who is transforming the next generation in Indian River County by having 90% of all students reading on grade level by the third grade. With me today in the studio is author Charlie Garrett. Welcome, Charlie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Very excited to have you because one of my favorite things in the world are children's books.
Good. I mean, this is a brand new book, just came out, The Brave Teddy Bear. It's written for ages 4 to 6 years old. The way it was written was for a parent to be able to read it to the child. And as a child starts to learn to read, it is the words are small enough that they can, learn to read it as well.
And you shared with me a little bit about the words that you selected for the book. You were very purposeful about the vocabulary.
Right. I did have a couple of kids, friends of mine, their kids read the book, and they found it, they're 4 years old, and they were able to read it and understand it. And, sounding out the words. There's no, 3-syllable words. I think bad dream or nightmare might be the longest word in the book. So it's nothing too complicated. It's really written for a kid to learn how to read on it, not just, have a parent read it to them and, all right, let's, let the kid try to sound it out.
So we were saying earlier that the book is then kid approved.
Kid approved, yes. The book has been kid approved. The actual cover went through many different variations, and when the new cover came out, I let the kids look at it, and they said it was perfect. The dragon's not too scary. The pictures in the book aren't too scary, and it follows along. So it's it is kid approved.
So share with me a little bit about the actual story of little Tommy. And I read the book and I enjoyed it thoroughly. But little Tommy is going through a difficult and somewhat frightening experience.
Correct. Little Tommy's having nightmares. Big scary dragon keeps coming in his nightmares and, scaring him. So his mother gives him a teddy bear that she had when she was growing up. And he uses it when he goes to bed, and the little teddy bear comes to life in the nightmare and gets Tommy to be brave and stand up to the dragon and shows Tommy that it's just, a bad dream. It's not something to be scary. And by the end of the book, Tommy becomes brave and stands up to the dragon. And, from that on, little Tommy and the teddy bear will go on adventures together and become best friends. And each book has a little moral to it. So there's a little moral in this book about being brave and standing up to your nightmare
and overcoming obstacles and being able to do that.
Yes.
I loved the lesson in the book, Charlie. And we do want to also give a shout out to our friend Cami DeMario, because she actually did the illustrations for the book.
Yes,
correct?
Cami and I did a lot of work together on the book. Sat down, took the script that I had written for the book, and worked, on each page to try to get the right perspective. Make sure Tommy and the Brave Teddy Bear looked right, the dragon looked right. And show, like, one of the major things we had to do is actually in the cover, we didn't want the dragon to be a small little dragon. We wanted the dragon to have some kind of impact, but not be too scary, but, also not be too weak. You wanted the kids to see, oh, well, this is a little scary dragon, but, we can still stand up to it.
And the dragon itself, now that I think about it, could be symbolic for any fear that you have. It's not necessarily nightmares. It could be that big of a fear.
Right. Well, one idea I had when I was doing the book was just making it, instead of a nightmare, just making him be afraid of the dark. Because a lot of little kids are afraid of the dark, as they grow up, they have to have like the nightlight or something like that. Even though there's really nothing scary in the dark, they still have that fear. And so that was one idea I did have, was making the dragon, just instead of it being a nightmare, just being afraid of the dark. And then doing something where, Tommy and the brave teddy bear kind of explored the room and realized that, it's just the coat or something like that hanging on the side, and it wasn't a dragon, but getting Tommy to not be afraid of the dark.
I smiled when you said some kids are afraid of the dark and have night lights. I actually know adults who need the night light, Charlie, but we won't get into that. This is such a beautifully written book. And like you said, I think it's appropriate for a parent to read it to a child, a grandparent to read it to a child, an older sibling to read it to a younger sibling. But it's just a beautifully written book. Tell us a little bit about your writing journey, and do you foresee more books and adventures for little Tommy?
So I started out writing, I actually wrote a kid's book when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
It was How Horses Got Their Name. Now, I don't know what I did with the book when I was 10. I can't find it, and I can't really... It's one of those things that when I was 10, your brain works a different way. You're 10 years old, and you don't think as, I guess, sophisticated. And I tried to recreate it, and it just didn't happen. But yeah, I wrote a kid's book when I was 10 years old. Then, I want to say like 20 years ago, I wrote my first real book, and it was called Rise to the Challenge. And it was about a high school baseball player who's got scholarship offers, and he gets an offer from a pro team to try out. And then he gets in a car accident, and he becomes paralyzed from the waist down. And the rest of the story is about him learning how to walk again and overcoming that struggle. And the reason it spoke to me was because when I was in high school, I blew out my knee. I had to have knee surgery. And I remember waking up from the knee surgery and not being able to move my leg. And in the book, the boy wakes up from the injury and can't move his legs, and it was very scary. And you have to overcome that, like through physical therapy and hard work. He's learned how to walk again, and same thing for me. I learned how to play again because having that surgery, the first time you go out on the field to play again, it's you're kind of worried about taking that step, that first step. But yeah, that book. It actually spoke to me at my sister's graduation. I was imagining, sitting there, the valedictorian speaking, and for some reason in my head popped in this idea of my main character coming on stage in a wheelchair, and he hadn't walked in front of anybody yet. Now, he'd done it in the hospital with help, with assistance. And then he gets up there to the podium, and he starts giving his little speech about what happened to him and how he overcame it. And then he stands for the first time. And I get goosebumps thinking it, because in my head, I can see the scene. And it's very one of those dramatic scenes where, tears in your eyes, and, it gets people to believe that they can do something. And that's the type of stuff I like to write. I like to write everyday people overcoming obstacles. Because there's a lot of people that, they'll have an obstacle and they'll just stop. And, if you can convince them or show them that they can overcome these obstacles, and maybe they'll get better, move on with their life, things like that.
So where do you get your ideas? Like, this one is clearly a personal experience, but do your ideas come from your own personal experience or from others around you?
To be honest, I don't know. They sometimes just pop into my head. I did a second book called Holy Knights. I like the idea of, warriors, especially old, like medieval times, people fighting for a reason, fighting for, to save others. The brave teddy bear actually came from, I was working on another book, and I was looking for a bear in armor. And just because it's Beast Knights, the characters are different animals in armor. And I was trying to figure out how, like in my head, how to tell the artist how to draw it. And I saw this picture of a teddy bear in armor. And to me, it kind of like, wow, that's kind of cool. What can I do with that? And funny enough, I went to go work on a different graphic novel, and I had the idea in my head of this teddy bear in the armor. And, my brain decided to take a left turn, and an hour and a half, I'd written Brave Teddy Bear.
Oh, wow.
So, it's kind of funny. And then The other stories, the other Brave Teddy Bear stories, where they came from, you see something like Pirates of the Caribbean, worked for the pirate. Funny enough, I actually wrote one of the books, the third book, which is it's a Halloween episode. I was going to Orlando for a huge comic book convention, and my brain decided again to take a left turn, and I wrote the entire book driving from here to Orlando on my phone, like I recorded it. So that's all it was. The whole thing was written, and I just had to come home and, transcript it and, kind of work it out a little bit. But yeah, it just, to be honest, sometimes I don't know where they come from. They just kind of pop into my head.
Well, we're going to keep picking your brain about those ideas and tips for writers, Charlie, because I think it's so exciting to share those ideas. For there are certainly some people who might be tuning in who could benefit from those tips. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
At the Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative, our vision is for every parent, regardless of income or zip code, to have the knowledge and tools they need to raise healthy children that are prepared for kindergarten. Our mission is to support our partners in developing a high-quality early childhood system that is family-centered. Our outreach and parent engagement specialists connect with families and build trusted relationships. KRC has chosen Fellsmere and Gifford as our two focus areas in Indian River County. Our Fellsmere office is located downtown in the city annex, and our new Gifford office is located within Victory Park Apartments. Our administrative offices are now located adjacent to Healthy Start and Treasure Coast Community Health in Vero Beach. The Kindergarten Readiness Collaborative, developing a high-quality early childhood system for all children in Indian River County.
Everyday activities are great for finding moments for talking and teaching new words. Babies' brains grow 80% in the first 18 months of life. As parents and your baby's first teacher, you can help build their brain with language and literacy skills. Involve the whole family. Ask questions. The more words babies hear, the larger their vocabulary can grow. Support early childhood education by talking, reading, singing, and family engagement. This message has been brought to you by PNC Grow Up Great and the Florida Grade Level Reading Campaign.
Today on HBTV, Kip and Rosanna are taking on the Baker Project.
Okay, Rosie, I did my part. Time now for your finishing touches, bro.
I've got lots of good ideas, babe. So it's off to Habitat Restore to shop for the perfect staging. Oh my goodness, that couch and that chair will go really great in their new open family room.
And Ro, looky there. This is a French door I envisioned for the home office.
And I found some accent pieces to go around the fireplace. I also fell in love with this European look bedroom set. And would you look at that armoire?
Good job, Ro. I can't wait.
We still need the right dining room set. What about that one over there?
Holy smokes. You nailed it, Rosanna Dana. Can't wait to see the look on their faces.
Indian River Habitat for Humanity Restore is the store that builds houses as it builds strength, stability, and self-reliance. It's the place to shop, donate, and volunteer to ensure everyone has a decent place to live. 4580 North US 1 Vero Beach. Restore at irchabitat.org.
Welcome to Vero Beach Cleaning, a complete home and office cleaning service that fits your needs and attends to your specific special instructions. Call now to schedule your free in-home estimate at 772-564-7839 or contact us through verobeachcleaning.com. 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 verobeachcleaning.com.
Very funny, Stu. No kidding. I'm Donna Roberts Mitchell, and Vero Beach Cleaning does my home every other week, and I love them. Vero Beach Cleaning.
Compassion and simplicity. Millennium Cremation Service, with offices in Sebastian and Vero, strives to help you with the planning and help you know your loved one is close by and cared for. Millennium is the wave of the future for final arrangements with a state-of-the-art facility. For a simple cremation, it costs just $795, which includes services of director and transfer to crematory. Millennium Cremation Service, locally owned and operated. Millennium Cremation Service, 999-5547. MillenniumCremationService.com.
We're back to Moonshot Radio, where every moment is an opportunity to learn. I'm your host, Nivea Torres, Executive Director of KARC. And with me today in the studio is Charlie Garrett. Charlie is a local author here from Vero Beach, right?
Yep.
Vero native?
Born and raised. Grew up here, graduated Vero Beach High School, moved away, and then came back. But yeah, I've lived here probably, 30 years.
Wow. So Vero native. So we need to support a Vero native. And I have here a copy of your book, The Brave Teddy Bear. And like we said earlier, this is a book that is appropriate for everyone in the family. Mm-hmm. Grandmas can read it to their grandchildren. Parents can read it to their child. And you mentioned that the vocabulary is very easy to read. It's accessible to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as we said, it's a kid-approved.
Kid-approved book. I want to mention that my favorite part, I was flipping through the book through the break because I wanted to remember my favorite part in the book, and it was actually when Tommy stood up to the dragon and said, "I'm not afraid of you," and the dragon sort of disappeared in the mist. Mm-hmm. And we were talking earlier about the lessons that you build within your books. And the lesson here is really to be strong and to be able to overcome your challenges.
Right. It's just about being brave. Real life is difficult. You're going to come across challenges in your life no matter how old you are. But you have to be able to stand up to them. You can't let them just overtake you. And, otherwise you're not going to go anywhere in life. And even little kids, when they start school, they're going to have difficulty learning something. And if they try really hard and not let it get them down, then they can work through it and, be better because of it. Life is not easy. And, I think that's important for a child to learn that, you're not going to go to school and you're not going to get math right away or reading right away. But if you work hard at it and you don't let it bog you down, then you can learn from it and move on and grow as a person, I guess. Thank you for that message and for perseverance, because that's important. You do have a Facebook page for the Brave Teddy Bear, so I want to encourage our listeners and our viewers to visit the Brave Teddy Bear Facebook page. I think Wayne is bringing it up now, so it's on that's it. Yes.
It's on the screen, so people can stay tuned to any future events or any readings that might come about with the Brave Teddy Bear, correct? Correct, yes. So right now we have the one book out right now. The second book is The Brave Teddy Bear and Captain Evilbeard. Ooh. And it's a little pirate adventure. That one, the artist is currently, the first draft is done, and then the artist and I are going to go back and edit the book, edit the drawings to get it, where we want it. We have a third book that is a Halloween adventure. It's The Brave Teddy Bear and the Pumpkin King. We have a fourth book, which is a space adventure. Fifth book, which is an undersea adventure. And then there's those five are all written. They're all the stories are all done. They're just waiting on the artist and work out the pages. I have two others that are being outlined right now that I'm working on. One is they go hiking in the Himalayas, and the other one, I'm trying to think what the other one was. Oh, the other one is kind of a tricky subject because it's dealing with bullies. And it was kind of funny the way I wrote that one. Once I finish it, I'm going to let a lot of parents read it before we move forward, because there's different ways parents want a child to deal with a bully. Of course. And so I tried to make it kind of lighthearted and funny. Basically, it's a kid who's, being loud and kind of yelling at everybody. And so the Tommy and the Brave Teddy Bear go into a little fantasy world, and the Brave Teddy Bear and Tommy become magicians. And Tommy pulls out of his magic bag a giant pacifier and sticks it in the bully's mouth. And they thought it was funny, but, right. How do you want a parent to respond to a bully is kind of what I'm trying to do my research for before we just say, no, we want the kid to fight, or do we want the kid to go get a parent or an adult? So that one is going to be a tricky one, but we'll see how that one goes. Well, we'll definitely want to have you come back and talk about all of those books in the series with Tommy. Now, you mentioned to me earlier, right before this interview, that there is another series that you're working on for older children.
Yes, I have one that I'm working on right now. It's called The Black Forest, or Force of Nature. Kind of working on the title right now. But it takes place in Germany. Black Forest is kind of a mythical place. There's a lot of myths and stories about it. And what it is that the spirit of the forest, Freya, has a child who lives in the forest. And as he grows, he learns to be able to control the forest. Like, he can make plants grow. He can control the trees so vines come out of them. The story is it takes place in like 13th century Germany. There's a village nearby where Vikings show up, and they kind of run a protection scheme like mobs do, where, they make the villagers give them a certain percentage of their earnings. There's a metal worker who, he has to work for the Vikings to make their armor, stuff like that. And there's a young girl in the village who gets tired of the Vikings taking everything, and she tries to stand up to them and tries to rally the villagers around them to stand up to the Vikings. Well, the magistrate of the village, tells her father that he needs to calm her down, basically. And so she runs away to the forest. And one of the myths about the forest is when you run away to the forest, you never come back. You disappear. She runs away to the forest and meets the young boy, and, he shows her the beauty of the forest, and she ends up going back to the village. And then the Vikings, they want to expand their empire, so they're thinking of destroying the forest. So she runs back to him, tells him, and then there's going to be, a huge fight between the Vikings and the forest. And I'm playing around with it. There's different ways I can go about doing it. One of the ideas is the boy is able to create like warriors from the forest. So you have there's one guy, he's Iron Trunk is one of his names. He's like a tree looking fighter. There's trying to think of one of the names, something kind of Sprout, who's like a little pet type thing.
Okay.
That's one idea I have. Another idea is, so the Vikings, they start to try to chop down the forest, and the boy uses his ability to take away their axes and kind of scares off the Vikings. And I'm working on that right now. I have the ending written. The ending is very dramatic and powerful. Basically, the Vikings figure out and they burn down the forest. And
don't tell us the ending, though.
Don't tell you the ending.
We want to be able to read it. It sounds like you have so many projects going on. What advice would you give to people who are interested in writing books and just getting interested in writing in general? Because
honestly, the easiest thing to do is just write. Just write, whether the idea is great or if it's a horrible idea, just write it down. Mm-hmm. We were talking earlier about, sitting down and actually typing it out on the computer or at your word processing. I find it's much easier to get a notebook and handwrite it, because once you get into a scene and you start writing it, you can write shorthand, you can write it like it'll be scribbles, but you'll understand what you've written. If you go and you try to type it out on a word processing, well, you may not know the exact word you want and you'll get a spell check. Well, all of a sudden you start doing that and it kind of gets you out of that zone. So that's why I have I think I said like 15 notebooks, 10 notebooks, spiral notebooks of just for all my different projects that I'm working on. And I find it's much easier to handwrite. I listen to, like, one of the things you'll find on YouTube is inspirational music from movies and stuff like that. And because I find, like, if you listen to a song with words, it kind of distracts you. But if you have that kind of music, you just have the scene and it can block out the outside noise.
Well, that's excellent. Charlie, I could talk to you for hours about writing, which is one of my passions, but I do want to promote The Brave Teddy Bear and make sure that people grab a copy, that they share it with their little ones. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we hope to have you back to talk about your other books.
Once the second book is out, third book is out, I'll definitely be back. The Black Forest, when I get that one further along, definitely, I would like to come back.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, this has been Moonshot Radio, where every moment is an opportunity to learn.